Welcome to another Super Deluxe Edition unboxing video. Today we're going to look at Aha's Hunting High and Low. This is the new 6 LP vinyl Super Deluxe Edition. Now this of course is Aha's debut album from 1985. This was first reissued as a deluxe edition in 2010. It was a 2 CD deluxe, which looked like this. In the UK, for some reason, they released it in a jewel case, which was pretty disappointing. But I think the European editions you could get in this digipack version with the spot varnishing, and everything was recreated as per the original vinyl. So this was definitely the one to go for. And it was a 2 CD deluxe in a digipack. And effectively you got some remixes and demos and B-sides. So it was a very good 2 CD deluxe edition, it has to be said. Loads of great stuff on here. Then what happened in 2015, they took it a step further and created a super deluxe 10-inch book edition of Hunting High and Low. Now I don't actually have that version to hand. I do have it, I just can't locate it at the moment for the purposes of this video. But that added some extra demos, it added some extra remixes. It also added a DVD. It was 4 CDs and a DVD. And that was what was a 30th anniversary edition at the time. A couple of years ago, that version was truncated into a 4 CD kind of cheap and cheerful version. So it doesn't include the DVD. The packaging is obviously a lot cheaper and simpler. But to give you an idea of how it was constructed, you got the album on CD1, you got demos on CD2, 25 demos. Disc 3 was extended versions, single versions and B-sides. And then disc 4 was an alternate version of the album made up of early mixes and the like. Now in 2019 there was a Record Store Day vinyl of the alternate versions, which looks like that. And the album itself has been reissued a number of times on vinyl. This was a clear vinyl edition. I don't actually know when this was released. It was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And here is an original vinyl of Hunting High and Low, just to remind you how it looked. Very, very cool front cover artwork. You've got this kind of spot varnish area here. And then this section is a bit more matte. This gives you an idea of how they've recreated the packaging. And that was the original inner sleeve. So yeah, very nicely presented originally. So back to the new 6 LP box set. Now interestingly, this has been licensed out to BMG. It's the first time I think that any of the original 80s era Aha haven't been reissued directly from Warner's. For whatever reason, Warner's haven't chosen to do this vinyl set by themselves directly. It does, the front cover does replicate, you can see here that spot varnishing, which is obviously pleasing to see. And the back here again, it kind of replicates the original design. Now the content is complete, so this does recreate the 4 CDs. The 25 demos are across 2 LPs, and then you've got LP number 4 is singles, extended and B-sides. Again across 2 LPs, 4 and 5. The alternate mixes, which as I say did come out individually, is the 6th vinyl LP. There's no DVD with this of course, it's just audio, so let's have a look at the contents. So we'll start with the book. So you do get a book with this. It's a kind of soft cover book, Aha Hunting High and Low Super Deluxe Edition. And this will recreate a lot of the previous book from 2015. Obviously it's a slightly bigger format. That other book was 10-inch, this is 12-inch. But lots of notes into the background and the making of the album. Very, very interesting. Some great photography here as well. In fact, I'll put this down. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, that this is soft back. I quite like it, in fact. The photography is just so great. I mean, the band looks so good in this era, don't they? It's got all the lyrics. That was the cover of The Sun Always Shines on TV in the UK. And at the end here, some of these illustrations that were made so famous with the Take On Me video. So I think that's a great book, everything you could expect. It's nice to have a book. They haven't done it on the cheap and tried to skimp and not have a book, so that's quite positive. So we get the 6 vinyl LPs, so it's 2 doubles here. So it's actually 4 individual packages. They've skimped a little bit on the cover to the album because they haven't got any of that spot varnishing that's on the slipcase. And the other way they've skimped is that the we'll see in a minute, but the inner sleeves aren't polylined on the other albums. This one has got a printed inner, so it's slightly a moot point, but there's the album. But one of the highlights is seeing all this illustrations, all these illustrations, you know, big on the covers of the sleeves. So these are the demos, single, extended versions and B-sides, and then the alternate mixes with the motorcyclists on. So it does look really, really good. There's no embossing or no special finish, having said that, but it does look good, there's no doubt about it. And on the back of each album, it's got the track listing like that. So you can see what's going on there, all those demos. And they're the alternate mixes. I mean, it's relatively straightforward. I mean, maybe it's a slight disappointment that these inner sleeves, not only are they not polylined, but they're just sort of boring kind of white paper inner sleeves. So that's a slight disappointment. But this box is relatively good value, so I guess they have to keep the cost down somewhere. But I always think with vinyl, you know, the record itself is the most important thing, and you should really be protecting it properly. So it is disappointing, there's no doubt about it. Because there's so many extended versions, this is why it's 2 LPs. So you get the original 7-inch of Take On Me, which wasn't a hit. Then you get the original 12-inch mix of Take On Me, Stop and Make Up Your Mind, which is an original B-side. Then you get all the versions from the actual hit era. So 12-inch instrumental of Take On Me, which was sort of previously unreleased until I think 2015. Sun Always Shines on TV, a couple of different extended versions, dub mix of Train of Thought. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. The demos are one of the highlights of this box set. They're really interesting, and don't be put off by 25 demos thinking, oh, you'll never listen to these again. They're actually a cut above. They're very, very interesting. You know, exploring this early period of the band. I mean, Lesson 1 is from 1982, so that's an early version of Take On Me, 3 years before the hit version. I mean, there's so much great stuff on here. Again, 2 vinyl records packaged in the same way as the previous one. And then finally, the alternate mix is this is sequenced as an album, and it uses the video version of Take On Me, early version of Train of Thought, an early mix of Hunting High and Low, alternative long mix of The Blue Sky, early mix of Living a Boy's Adventure Tale, alternate early mix of The Sun Always Shines on TV, early mixes of And You Tell Me and Love Is Reason, the early New York City mix of Dream Myself Alive, and then Here I Stand and Face the Rain, that brilliant closer of the album. It's an early mix. So they slot nicely back into this outer slipcase. And as I say, this is it's about £100 this for a 6 LP box set, which isn't too bad. It feels kind of reasonable. So maybe some of the little cost cutting is justified to sort of keep this in the realm of affordability. I think I'll be interested in your comments on that, so do leave a comment and let me know. So I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing video, this look at the 6 LP vinyl box set of Aha's Hunting High and Low. If you have, why not subscribe to the Super Deluxe Edition YouTube channel for more great physical music unboxed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.